last Friday morning, ELIZA Fletcher and Cleotha Abston met for the first and last time. As her husband and 2 young children slept at home, ELIZA Fletcher went for an early morning run through her neighborhood. Cleotha Abston followed her, stalking her every move from a black SUV. According to the indictment, as Fletcher jogged by, Abston leapt out, beat her bloody, smashed her cell phone, then dragged her into his vehicle. Within an hour, ELIZA Fletcher was dead. She'd been sexually assaulted and murdered. Police arrested Abston soon after based on surveillance video, but he refused to say what had happened to ELIZA Fletcher.
All right, y'all, for this video, I'm going to be breaking down what's going to happen to the guy who murdered ELIZA Fletcher inside a prison. Let's get into it. What's up with it? White Boy Radio back with another one. Man, as you can see, we're going to get right into this one. That dude's a scumbag. Man, this case is pretty crazy. A subscriber of mine brought it to me, and we've been covering it, especially if you follow Twitter. We've talked about it a few times, but we've learned, if you see that in the opening here, that in those 4 minutes when he pulled up and got her, he did a lot more than just kill her. This is a senseless crime. You know, I don't know. These things change by the day. And at first, there was an ex-FBI that said she thinks this is connected because this guy's first time in prison, he kidnapped somebody that worked in the same law firm as her uncle. So you think there's a connection there. And it makes you think, is it a revenge thing? It makes you think a lot of things here. Most people that murder don't do that double thing, okay? With the whole essay involved in it, it makes this guy a real creepo. And to make matters worse, that whole clip that Tucker did, he speaks about this guy getting out of prison earlier. Now, I have a hard time with that one because the guy was sentenced to 20 years, 20 plus years, I believe. And his argument, Tucker's, is he got out 2 years early. So from a convict's perspective, that's actually normal. You know, a lot of you guys have family and friends inside of prison. If maybe your son or somebody you know does they get sentenced to 5 years, they don't do 5 years. You know, they'll get out a little bit earlier than that. But the thing about that is I did Google the state of Tennessee, and I got a mixed result with that. I got one search said 30% of the time. Another search said 50% of the time. And then something came up where they're trying to pass 100% of the time. So I don't know what percentage of time people in Tennessee do. And then also, even if I did, the factor of parole changes everything. See, it's very simple for me to break down people getting time out of Florida because we do 85% of our time. And there's no possibility of parole. We don't have that here in Florida. So a very good example is 10 years. Someone doesn't do 10 years day for day. They're going to do 8 years, 5 months with no possibility of parole. Meaning, if they get 10 years in the courtroom, their best bet is they get out in 8.5, and their worst bet is they get out in 10, unless they do something drastic and catch a charge inside of prison. So you see where I'm coming from. But anyway, this video is about what's going to happen to this guy in prison. You know, before I get into my reaction here, I've never done time in Tennessee. I've done time in Florida a couple times. However, I know what the convict code and the inmate code is. And if you don't know, man, there is a channel on YouTube called 23 and 1, Lockdown 23 and 1. A guy named Death runs it. My buddy Death. He's got a huge channel, 600,000 subs. Shout out to Death. Josh is his real name. He has a prison channel altogether, and he covers every state in the States. I have an interview on his channel. It's got like close to 100,000 views, whatever. My point is, I know the whole convict code and how things are ran on the inside. And look, you guys heard me talk about what happens to chomos and pedos inside of prison. This is why I have a problem with this case, people. We all watch these true crime. We all follow the cases. It doesn't end there, people. It doesn't end there. For this guy, he doesn't fall into the chomos, the pedos. Yes, he sexually assaulted somebody. Yes. It wasn't a kid. It does not justify it by any means. The problem is in prison. In prison, guys that catch bodies, they're not looked up to, but they have their own way of life in there. And what I mean is, when you're serving time, there's unity. It doesn't matter if I'm a Blood and this guy's a Crip. It doesn't matter if I'm an Aryan Nation, the leader, and this guy's the head of the Black Panthers. We are both going to agree that child molester has to pay. And we will put our petty differences beside us to make sure to punish him. That's unity there. But with people that kill people, they have their own branch of I hate to call it respect, but if I'm being perfectly honest, that's what it is. This is a code of criminals. It's not my view. It's not my personal view. I'm explaining things for you. People that catch bodies, and every case is different, but they're going to look at this and not really on a respect thing, although some may look at it like that, but more of a instead of the comparison to a chomo, instead of, hey, you know that dude, what he did to a little kid, instead of that, it's, man, that dude's in here for murder. So dudes will kind of stay away from that, leave him alone, because they know his mind's not really all there. He's actually took a body before. He's actually killed somebody. So they're not gonna mess with him, even though what he did in the car is disgusting, and on every level, it's almost overlooked. And some will respect that. I hate to say that, but some just give him space because they know, we all seen the movies when people snap, that word snap. And this is why I have a hard time with the case. Again, I never did time in Tennessee, but I already know that's what's going to happen. You know, I wish it was, on this case especially, man, because this one kind of got my heart a little bit. I wish it was like the code with pedos with this guy, so he could take it up through there. And not only that, he's been inside a prison before. He knows the system. He's not a greenhorn. He's not a new horn. He's not a new cock. He's not a dummy. He knows the system inside of there. So he's got that going for him too. This is ugly for people who are really following this case and want justice. It's looking ugly. I will say this. In prison, you have a lot of people in gangs, and I'll leave it there for a second. Gangs is a very good example. It doesn't matter what gang, and gangs flood the penitentiary. It doesn't matter what gang it is. And as examples, I use Bloods and Crips because I think people know those gangs. So I'm going to just stick with Bloods right now. If there's a person who's trying to probate and put in work to be a Blood, and he's trying to show out for the brothers, it's almost like a badge if he crosses that line. The second there's an altercation with him, let's just say Cleotha, whatever his name is, the guy that killed ELIZA Fletcher. Let's just say there's an altercation in the TV room, for example. And this guy, okay, and it's involving him and a guy who's probating and trying to be a blood. The guy probating trying to be a blood, he knows that guy has snapped before. But in his favor, he's got a gang behind him. So the average inmate that's going to be like, man, that guy snapped before. It doesn't apply to him now in this instance because he's got a gang behind him. And he wants the gang to see, hey, man, that dude just tried me, man, blah, blah, blah. Now they got his back. They all know. But now it's like they don't care. There's that saying, even when my brother's wrong, he's right. Meaning gang members. That's what they say. So he's gonna, if he's gonna impress the gang, he's gonna push the issue. He's gonna want that badge. He's gonna want to take that guy up through there, and he's gonna want to say that he did something. He did something bad to a killer. He's gonna want that. Trust me, he's gonna want that. But that's an example I can paint. Will that happen? Will that scenario happen? Who knows? It's possible, but you never know. For what it's worth, he could be a blood. There goes that scenario. And most likely he's been in the system before. He probably is involved in something. It's just ugly, man. I wish I can give it to you better. But I keep it honest over here. And as a convict's perspective, that's what's going to happen, people. This guy's a scumbag. This guy's a complete scumbag. This lady was a mother of 2 young kids. She was a good teacher. I know that because I'm about to play a clip. When all the lockdowns were happening, she took her time to make a personal video to her students during COVID. She's a pretty woman. She went out for a jog. She tried to keep herself physically fit, exercise, keep up with her health. This guy stalked her, knew her little route, pulled up, threw her in there, S8'd her, and then killed her. You know, I want to end the video on a good note. And here's what I could say on this case. In the beginning, Tucker is arguing this guy got out early. And I did a little Google search here, and I'm unsure about it. But in the case that he did, in the case that this guy did get out early, he has a long criminal record. And if the state's responsible for doing that, well, this family is billionaires, and they have money. And they have money. And I'm sure they are going to look into that. And I hope to God, if the state did let this lunatic out, that the family does everything in their power to make changes, to hold whoever accountable. And I really hope that. Look, man, I'm in Florida. We don't have parole, and you do 85% of your time. It's very cutthroat. I've done reactions to videos, man, of people who have gotten out on this jail reform, and it's a horrendous thing. Look, I'm an ex-con. If anyone would think that would be pro-jail reform or this or that, you would think it would be me. No, that is not a good thing. If you are man enough to do the crime, be man enough to do the time. I did. You have people in there. A lot of you do. I get the emails. They're doing the time. These states cutting these guys out early. It's not good. It's not good. Sure, there's non-violent offenders in there that maybe that could get applied to. I'm talking about people with these violent charges and stuff that keep getting out, and reoffending, murdering. Man, that's not right. And why Do some states do it, and then some states like Florida don't? Why? It should just be very. Listen, I don't have a problem how Florida runs it. I didn't love it when I was in there, but hey, look, obey the law. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. I hate to give everybody the news, but look, man, it's much. These things, the case doesn't end in the courtroom. It doesn't. Not if you're emotionally attached to it or invested in it. It doesn't. Maybe for some it does. Let's check out ELIZA as a teacher, as a mother, real fast, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one, man. It's White Boy Radio. Join the members if you can. Shout out to my members who have, and follow the socials. Until the next one.
Hey girls, it's Miss Fletcher. I miss all of you so much. I'm just at home with my kids, missing you guys, wishing we were back at St. Mary's, but I wanted to touch base and say, hey.